Ace.
When was the first time you ever heard of socialized medicine?
Glad you asked that question. 1937, I was captain of the Dickinson High School Debating Society, and the subject came up among the participants in the group. What would be our subject for the next debate? And the very attractive head of the, from the faculty point of view, in charge of the group, suggested that we debate socialized medicine. Now, I didn't know what socialized medicine meant, but in 1936, in that debate, I learned a little bit about socialized medicine. For example, I took the pro position, that is to say, I was for socialized medicine. Now, what does that mean? In brief, wait a minute, seems to be I remember Saskatchewan. That word comes out of the past like it's coming through an open cloud. It's floating down. Saskatchewan. What Saskatchewan was a province of Canada where they had extensive experience in socialized medicine. And it was my job to go up to Saskatchewan, which I was perfectly willing to do, and ask around the local population what they thought of socialized medicine. After all, they had it for about 20 years at that time. That would mean, it being 1938, 20 years from 38 would have been 1918 that they started socialized medicine. So I went up there, I flew up, of course, private jet, and asked some of the people up there what they thought of it. And this first house, I knocked on the door and introduced myself as being an outstanding student of Dickinson High School. And I said, "Madam, could you give me some idea how you feel about and what your experience has been with socialized medicine here in Saskatchewan?" "Get the hell out of here, you fucking Yankee bastard!" she snarled at me. Fat woman, big tits, of course, and big belly, big ass. You don't notice all those things at once. Only when she turned around did I notice the rear end position. But she came at me like a tigress. And she said, "Why are you asking me that question? Do you know my hubby passed away last year? We couldn't get a doctor to come here to see him, and no hospital would take us here in Saskatchewan?" Well, I said, "Why was that?" "Because we didn't have a socialized medicine card." "Well, why didn't you obtain that card?" "Because the fucking thing cost about $150. And we didn't have $150 to get that card." "You mean to say," I said to her, "that no doctor would be treating your husband, not you. You're such a darling person." She snarled at me again, spit my way, not on me, but in my direction. And I knew my interview with this charming woman was coming to an end. And she said ferociously, "No, those sons of bitches. They told me and my hubby that we would get free medical care, and we got shit for medical care." And I said, "Well, I appreciate your comment. I'm going to use this in my debate in the Jersey City Dickinson High School auditorium, which I am an outstanding debater." And she said, "I don't give a fuck what you use. Get the hell out of there." And that ended my debate, not my interview in Saskatchewan. Now, if you'd like to know what I think of the present administration, I'd be glad to tell you in one word. They're shit. Robbers, thieves, liars, arrogant pigs. And the woman with the biggest tits in Washington is head of the House of Representatives. She can hardly move those balloon lead-weighted tits down the aisle when she comes to talk to the people. I feel sorry for her. She's going to get her return when she knocks on. She's a Catholic, you know. They expect to go to heaven. She isn't going to heaven. She's going to H-E-L-L, don't like to say the word. Well, we got another outstanding one. Her cohort in the Senate is an outstanding individual by the name of Harry Reid. Born in Nevada. You ought to see the house he was born in. Now, I've never been critical of people who couldn't afford to buy themselves or rent themselves a decent house, but this poor slob didn't know that he could, with a hammer and nail, he could fix this place up. It looks like an outhouse, a big outhouse. Well, I didn't know what those are. I don't have to go into detail on that. It reminds me of a story during World War II, as you well know. I was flying C-47s over in the big one, and we were in the BMI theater, China, Burma, India theater, and I was called into the general's office naturally because it was a secret, very tough mission that was going to be called for, and they said, Colonel, Colonel by rank, and they said, Colonel, would you take on this mission? Why did they ask me? Because there was no coming back. There was only one man they figured could come back from that mission. That was me. And I took the old C-47, rev her up, boys! That's what I said to the men. Rev her up, boys! And they revved it up to big sure. 2-engine motor, C-47. And I took it out and the runway and off we went. And I had some paratroopers with me in the back. And my job was to put those paratroopers over the target. Put it well over the target. Now, the risk was I was going to be met with a barrage of machine gun fire as I lowered the C-47 into position to release the paratroopers. Now, I had a flight nurse with me, of course. I always took her along, or a flight nurse. I couldn't commit myself to the same one every time. But this one was a brunette, and she had a very short flight nurse dress on. And I said to her, don't you have your regular flight nurse uniform with the zipper? You know, the old zip? And she snarled at me, sort of spit at me. And I began to see remnants of the woman that I interviewed back in Dickinson High School. And I began to look at her.
In Saskatchewan?
Huh?
The Saskatchewan girl?
Saskatchewan.
Woman.
Yeah. And I said, I called back to my head crew chief. I said, crew chief, got something else for you to dump off this fucking plane. I said, get rid of this bitch. He took the son of a bitch and dropped her out of the plane. Well, did I feel sorry about it? Yes, I did. But what can you do? You're up there and you expect the flight nurse to have a fucking zipper jumpsuit on? She comes in with one of those short dresses? It's not right. It's not right. I wasn't trained for a short dress. I was trained for the zipper. That's all for this evening. Tune in tomorrow and we'll hear more.